I thought it was me as a doctor and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one.
America is breaking down into two parties, not the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, two new parties, the American Exceptionalists and the Bipartisan Grievance Party.
Eric Swalwell is resigning from Congress.
And so I'd like to see Kamala Harris maybe put her hat back in the ring.
Good morning. It is 8:07 on News Talk 1079. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of the Neil Larson Show. It's April 14th, 2026. And I always feel like we're always counting down to something. And right now we're counting down 5 weeks until the primary election. And boy, we have a schedule for you in the coming days. You heard our interview this morning with Senator Julie Van Orden. And by the way, we will be posting these interviews within an hour or two after we're off the air at newstalk1079.com. So if you missed the interview, you want to go back and hear maybe the interviews side by side between challenger and opponent, then you can absolutely do that. So again, just remember newstalk1079.com. And I do want to say this is a good opportunity. As part of our election coverage, we are hosting debates, a series of them here at the Sand Hill Studios. And tomorrow we will host our very first debate. Now, these interviews are going to run a little over an hour. We'll start at 8:35. We'll wrap up somewhere around 9:45 to 9:50. And tomorrow it's Representative Erin Bingham and her challenger, Brian McKellar. So we look forward to that. A lot of issues and a lot of things to talk about with the recent legislative session. And we look forward to hosting these. So join us for that. It'll be interesting because we will actually not be in our studio. Our conference room, we actually did a debate over a big, massive school bond in District 91 a couple of years ago. And we actually liked doing the debate inside our conference room. So we are creating a quasi-studio out of our Sand Hill conference room. And that's what we'll be doing in the coming weeks. We've kind of focused on Wednesday. However, not every candidate can do Wednesday. So I think we have a Thursday or two sprinkled in, but we'll let you know well in advance when those are happening. Now, the news cycle. Holy crapanoly. The meltdown that I'm seeing online and on social media over Trump sharing the AI image that most are saying depicts him as Jesus, that he's some messianic figure because he's got like a illuminated orb in one hand. He's got his hand on the head of a man who appears to be ill. He's kind of surrounded by angels that look like soldiers and other people. And I mean, it has obviously some massive religious overtones to this. And I saw this early yesterday for the first time. And we didn't really talk about it yesterday morning because so often when you see things, especially when it's something that's negative about Trump, it's manufactured, it's exaggerated, it's overblown. So we had plenty to discuss with Swalwell and Iran and all the rest of it. So Julie and I didn't talk a whole lot about what was going on with Trump's AI picture. But let me tell you, we need to talk because as I went through my social media and I saw all of the massive reactions to this picture, I saw people who don't like Trump anyway going off. I saw people who sometimes like Trump, sometimes not, losing it. And then I saw people who are really historically pretty strong Trump supporters. They're also said Trump's lost me on this. So I would look at it and I would say, look, I'm not going to defend the posting of this image. I'm not. It's a boneheaded thing to do. And I'm not sure why he did it. I'm sure if you hate Trump, it was the worst motive ever. If you love Trump, you might try to find reasons why it was innocent and he did. I'm not going to even go there. He should not have posted that image or that picture. He quickly took it down, which is something Trump does not do very often. Rarely does Trump reverse something that offends other people, but he reversed this one. So a few things became apparent when this was happening. And don't take this the wrong way. Well, take it however you want. I won't tell you how to take it. I feel like the last 24 hours or so have been a contest by people to prove how much they love Jesus. And they're using this blasphemous pic Trump posted as their way to win the I Love Jesus the Most contest. Well, as I thought about this, knowing that our cultural outrage gauge is broken, for many people, it's broken. They don't know how to be out there outraged over certain things way too much. They ignore other things that truly are outrageous. So it's just we don't gauge that anymore. We are just whipping in the wind with our emotions. So in that context, knowing the outrage gauge is broken, anytime there is a big outrage, don't just automatically assume that it's worthy of that level of emotion. And so I was thinking through this and I thought, not a great pick, not a big fan. However, and this is the thing that I might lose listeners over what I'm about to say in the next minute or two. Your love of Jesus Christ will not be measured by how much you condemn Donald Trump, but rather your love of Jesus Christ will be measured by how willing you are to forgive him. Let that sink in. You may not have wanted to hear that. And sometimes we have a tendency to create the Jesus that we want in our minds. And you might think that Jesus needs your protection, that Jesus needs your whatever it is you're doing in the wake of this. But I hope that you'll be careful to make sure that you're not disguising your Trump hatred as love for the Savior. Because I will say it one more time. And in my mind, I thought this really is the test. The test of your Christian devotion is not measured by your Trump outrage, but rather by your Trump forgiveness. So let that sink in and go. Yeah, you can send text. I don't care. Like it doesn't matter. And I knew I was going to tell you that today. As I thought about it and thought through it, I thought, okay, what is the real Christian test here? How do we put our Christianity on display? And I mean true Christianity, not I love Jesus more than you love Jesus, and here's why. Again, I'm going to put out a post that's 97 paragraphs long here, and that's going to show the world how much I love Jesus. Nobody cares. I will tell you that nobody cares how much you love Jesus. It doesn't matter how long your Facebook post is. Jesus cares about you. And the command and Christian charge to you is not to write 97 paragraphs of how bad Trump is, but rather to say he's a flawed man like all the rest of us. And sometimes he does dumb things, and I forgive him. So good luck with that. I really hope you are. And furthermore, one other point here. I probably lost a portion of my audience with that chastisement, but not really chastisement. It's just laying out what Christian doctrine really is requiring of us. But I will say I have a hard time hearing, and it's not any one person. All right, there's a lot here. So I'm not talking about anybody in particular. But if you're outraged over an AI image that Trump posted, but you're not outraged over an entire major American political party being okay with murdering unborn children, I don't want to hear it. You have absolutely zero moral authority to be outraged over a picture when you support, donate to, advocate for candidates and parties that kill the unborn. I don't care how much you think you hate Trump. I don't care how much it falls on completely deaf ears, and you should probably measure your own moral compass based on what you decide that you're going to be outraged over. I believe that abortion is the atrocity and the Holocaust of our time. And I know those are big words, but I will tell you that in slavery, what did they have to do in order for slavery to have been a thing for a few centuries? Long time. They had to reduce the status of the slave to subhuman, to the status of property. That's how they did it. In their own minds. You have to. And they do the same thing with the unborn child. They call it a fetus. They call it tissue. They got several names for it. But they reduce the status of that little budding human being to something less than a human being. They did that with the Jews during the Holocaust as well. It's the only way you can reconcile that in your mind. So I would say before you expend all of your emotional energy into a picture that the president posted that he should not have posted, look at other moral challenges in the world and make your determination based on that. Recalibrate your outrage gauge. I guess that would be my call to you. It's 8:20 now. News Talk 1079. Eric Swalwell out of Congress. And that was, man, what a turnaround. He went from being one of the Democrat California frontrunners to being accused of sexual assault and harassment, to leaving the campaign trail. And now he's leaving Congress because I think they went to him and said, you can either leave or you're going to be expelled. And rather than the expulsion, he decided to leave. And now we're hearing Anna Paulina Luna. We've got audio of her on Fox last night saying there might be criminal charges on the way. So we'll have some of that for you. We'll open up the phone lines if you'd like to join us on the program. We also we got other stuff that we got to get to as well. 208-542-1079. We'll be back. It's 8:26 on News Talk 1079, 208-542-1079 if you'd like to join us on the program this morning. And Julie, we're here for people, right? Would you say we're here for people?
Yeah.
So if there are people, I think maybe all the ones who are decorated in outrage over Trump's AI Jesus picture. Although I will say I'm not convinced that Trump posted it asserting that he's Jesus.
More like a healer.
A healer.
Okay.
This is an AI image somebody else created. If some of the posts that I'm seeing are true, it was actually created back in February by some on social media site. And Trump may have seen it middle of the night. He's like, oh, I like that. I am healing the nation. I'm going to share that. But yet you have these people who are livid over it. And because they have this natural inclination to believe that everything Trump does is nefarious and selfish, that Donald Trump himself believes that he is Jesus and is putting that out there. Now, Trump has this line where he says, well, I thought it was the Red Cross. Okay, I have given blood many times. I have interacted with people from the Red Cross. I've never seen any of them carry orbs around in their hands. All right, so I'm not sure I buy that. I think it's a complicated conversation to say, look, I wasn't saying I was Jesus. I do believe that I'm trying to heal the nation. And one of my supporters created this image with the idea that I was healing the nation. Mm-hmm. I liked it, so I shared it. But he also pulled it, too, because I think he realized, it can very easily be interpreted as me pushing on the country that I'm Jesus now. Mm-hmm. And because people are, I don't know if their thinking isn't sophisticated enough. I don't know if they're too lazy. I don't know if they just believe everything they hear that's negative about Trump. Trump's like, this isn't even a battle I'm going to fight here. So he pulled the picture, and now he's on to other things. But it just is, to me, it's very, very sad that we don't even make an effort anymore to say, what are the alternative explanations for this thing that made me mad? Like what might have fed into this picture other than my interpretation, which is Donald Trump thinks he's Jesus. Mm-hmm.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, it's Brad from Now 105.1 and QP99. I'm in the studio here. I love our studios, by the way. Ranger Rick back there. There's Neil and Julie doing their thing. Hey, when you want to advertise on the radio, what do? You call the radio station, right? But what do you do when you want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and Hulu and Disney Plus and Peacock and the other TV streaming services? You can kind of click around on them and make guesses or read books or take courses online on how to do that advertising. Or you could call us at the radio station. At Sandhill Media, we take care of your local radio and digital marketing. So reach out to us at sandhillmediagroup.com and we'll make sure that your message gets heard and seen wherever your customers are.
Also, what is the popularity behind you just have to be outraged? It really is I want to be popular. I want to be cool, so I'm going to be outraged. That's really what goes on in this world.
Yeah.
I would say a large portion of the people that were protesting on the various Saturdays, the No Kings protest, were about being popular with a group. Mm-hmm. That's it. There isn't really a deep, this core fundamental that something bad is happening to America.
Yeah.
It's, I want to be popular with a group, and this group will accept me, so I'm going to go be popular with this group. I wish people would do a better job of just self-evaluating an emotion, just figuring out, why am I feeling the emotion? If you're angry that you felt that Trump likened himself to Jesus, I would then say, measure your response off of what you want to get. If you're doing it for popularity, it's for the wrong reason. If you're saying it going, hey, I'd like everyone to pay attention to what Trump did here and actually focus Jesus in your life, have it become a focus of your life. But if your reasons are for, I want to be popular, or I hate this man and so I'm doing this, or things like that, you really know better.
Agreed.
We're all a bunch of people with problems.
Yeah.
And the only thing that we can control is our reaction to those problems.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the moment you understand that, the moment you get a glimpse of what your own power is, if you don't understand that, you're parceling out your power to other things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something I remember trying to teach that to my kids growing up. When a sibling would make them mad, when I'd be like, don't give them that power.
Yeah.
And the whole TDS crowd, they have handed Donald Trump something sacred, in my opinion, that I don't think Trump even wants. It's the control over your own emotional state. And it's sad that they've surrendered that to Donald Trump or anybody else or anything else.
Also, I would just gently remind them, he's going away. Why are you investing so much in emotion into something that's going to go away? Yeah. And another person will step up, and whether they're a Republican or Democrat, they'll make mistakes and they'll have successes as well.
You know what? I would say, obviously, he's going to officially be done as president if he completes his term, which I'm assuming he will, January of 2029. Okay, so that's still not quite 3 years away. However, the president kind of starts becoming a bit of a lame duck when the presidential campaign cycle begins in earnest, which is going to be happening about a year from now. 2027 will be the year that you're going to start to see different campaigns coalesce. If we're smart, we're going to narrow it down to one main person, and then you're going to have a whole bunch of wannabes that are going to make an effort. People like Chris Christie or, whatever. At that point, Donald Trump begins to become less relevant. So you're really only about a year away of seeing Trump's relevance start to decline.
Diminish.
Now, I say relevant. What I mean by that is not that he won't be effective. I think he'll still be very effective. Trump's going to use every minute that he has as president to be president. Okay. But I think we'll talk about him less because he's the guy on the way out. And we'll be talking about the future and who the next one is. So you've got about another year of Trump being the dominant figure in American politics. And then we'll start to see the handing of the baton. And I think that's going to come as a relief to some people who've allowed Donald Trump to have as much emotional control over them as they do.
Right. I don't know. The whole thing, I mentioned it to you first thing when I got here yesterday morning. And then as we watched the day play out, I'm like, for the 4 hours that we were on the show, I was like, okay, maybe people are actually going to be normal about this one and just chalk it up to Trump does some really stupid, crazy things, and we're going to walk past this.
Yeah.
And then it all kind of blew up last night. And I'm like, first off, this is what I want to ask those people this question. That picture had been out there for about 36 hours. If it took that long for you to figure out the picture was there, it didn't matter in your life.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. If it took you so long to figure out the picture actually existed, it actually doesn't change your life.
Yeah. No, it's true. I also notice people they amplified the picture.
Yeah.
And I thought that's so weird. If this would be similar, Julie, if you found out a school teacher had shown pornography to kids, like Playboy magazine or something, and you're like, can you believe it? Look at this centerfold. Can you believe that the teacher showed them this Playboy centerfold? Look at this. I mean, I'm like, why are you amplifying? If the image was so offensive to you, then why are you continuing to share it?
Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing is just, there's a level of my annoyance on so many different fronts here. I'm annoyed with Trump that he did it. It was a stupid social media move. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So that's annoying. The behavior by the people, the delay by the behavior by the people. It can't be that life shattering if it took till it was shown to you. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. There is such a pattern of this, Julie, of Trump. The issue here is Trump really did kind of step in it with this one, but the overreaction is just over the top.
It is.
I roll my eyes at it. It's just like, you people are just, it's worth a reaction. He should not have shared the picture. I'm with you there. All right. We'll agree on sort of the basic fundamental premise. The picture was too easily interpreted as offensive. But your emotional outflow from that is about 300% too much.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how many times we have to mention this, but I would love people to always keep in mind that a majority of what you see on social media, especially by anybody who has a significant following, is about building their following. It's actually not genuine emotion.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
You have to search far and wide to find the people who are genuinely attached to the feelings that they bring to the table. And that it's not about clicks, and it's not about follows, and it's not about algorithms. And I just want people to start looking at that. Okay, let me give you another example. It's not Trump, not anything like that. I saw somebody break down a video by a nurse the other day. This woman she's a nurse, she's got a big social media following, blah, blah, blah. She is filmed. She's not holding the camera. She is filmed leaning up against the wall in her scrubs, putting her hands over her face and then sliding down the wall. And the caption is talking about what a hard day it was on her job and they lost somebody and blah, blah, blah. You guys, somebody filmed her doing that.
Exactly.
It wasn't real.
It's called acting.
When are we going to stop taking the bait?
Yeah.
We need to learn.
Yeah.
Because we're part of the problem when we take the bait.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we are. Absolutely, we are. All right, 208-542-1079. If you'd like to join us on the program this morning, let's take a break for our news here at the bottom on this Tuesday. Don't forget, tomorrow, our first in-studio debate, we will have Erin Bingham, state representative, her challenger, Brian McKellar. That will start at 8:35 right here.
Alrighty, folks. Well, America is breaking down into two parties, not the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, two new parties, the American Exceptionalists and the Bipartisan Grievance Party. The American Exceptionalists believe in American exceptionalism, that America is awesome, that we have historically been awesome, and that we will be awesome again if we do the hard things that we must do. The Grievance Party members believe America is not awesome, was never awesome, and will only be awesome if we fundamentally rewrite the American bargain and also retreat from the world for our great sins. That battle between the American Exceptionalists and the Grievance Party, left and right, will define our future as Americans. And right now, that battle is being fought over Iran. You're listening to The Ben Shapiro Show.
Okay, so that was a good point that Ben made. Obviously, it was the intro into his show. And it's a really good point that you do have the American Grievance Party, which is almost the entire Democrat Party. Mm-hmm. They can't sit and just enjoy a patriotic 4th of July. We've talked about this before. Everything has to be laced with, oh, but slavery. Oh, but women didn't have the right to vote. Oh, but we're killing the environment. Oh, but this or that. I feel like the libertarian wing of the party is the same way.
I get that.
There's always an attached gripe to anything American. We can talk about Iran, they attach a gripe to it. You talk about Ukraine, they attach a gripe to it. So now we gripe enough. I will say we're not gripe free here, but when it comes to our love for country, we can enjoy, we have the capability to just enjoy what's good about America without having to pollute those thoughts with what's bad about America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just separate out the moments.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like, okay, let's do this in life. Your baby is just born, brand new. Your young man, Emily, comes into the world.
Yeah.
Why not just take a moment and just relish the miracle that's currently happening? But instead, our new world is, well, that miracle did happen. But did you see that nurse? I didn't like the way that she was behaving. And I already want to see my itemized bill because insurance screws me over on every chance they get. And how are we going to pay for this child? I don't even have a place for this child to sleep.
I know.
Just calm down.
I know she's a newborn, but she could get cancer in 5 years.
Yeah,
right.
Relish the moment. Relish the good when it does happen. Because we have plenty of bad moments in this world.
What? Why do we? Let's talk about this outside of politics for just a moment, because it's a problem in politics.
Sure.
It's hard. It's now downstream gripe from this, but I've talked about anytime you go to a national park or a national historic site, they always put up these plaques now highlighting America's sins. You know, the Liberty Bell. They have these displays about slavery and women not having the vote. And I just thought, can we just celebrate liberty? Like, what would be wrong with that? That we have a wide array of liberty here in America today. Let's make it about today.
Right. Let's
not drag the heaviness and the weight of past sins as this guilt trip that we need to carry in perpetuity. I guess I don't understand why we do that. I do that with certain things in my life. Like, you know, And I think maybe we all do, but the question is why? Why do we do that? Why do we feel this obligation to offset something that might just be pure and positive with a negative? Like we just have to follow it up with but this.
I don't know. I think for a lot of people, it makes them feel important. I think that gives them value in a situation that isn't about them, but then they can make it about them. Maybe.
I don't know. But it's sad for them, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
Well, look, we did it with Artemis too. Mm-hmm. Here you had these 4 astronauts that went to the moon. That's amazing. Period. There's no comma. Just period. Enjoy it. Mm-hmm. We were able to get 4 astronauts around the moon and back home safely, and they landed bullseye, like within a mile of where we wanted them to land. They're all safe. They're all had an amazing experience. We learned a lot. And did a lot. Here's a challenge, not to you, Julie, but to our audience. Try to enjoy that without thinking about how much it cost.
Yeah, singularly.
Try to think about that without doubting that it even happened. Mm-hmm. Just enjoy the fact. Enjoy it for a moment.
Mm-hmm. There's really good moments out there, and we're very, very bad as a culture at finding them anymore.
Yeah, it's true. Are we doing that very thing by saying people can't do that? Like we're now griping about the people that can't?
What I would just say is I would recommend it to them because it's very freeing when you don't let topics or subjects control your mind 100% of the time. There's a time and a place, for sure. Time and a place. Yeah. But it's very freeing to just be in the present.
Yeah, it is. It's a challenge, though. Like
it's difficult because the produced habits that come from social media use and our jobs and everything make us behave the other way. It encourages behavior in the other direction. You have to actually live in the present. It has to be intention on your part.
Yeah, it's true. And you don't have to demand perfection. It's not. I think what we're talking about is not this expectation that people pretend things are perfect. That's not it. You just don't have to experience everything all at once at the same time. Mm-hmm. So try experiencing the good without letting the bad pollute
singularly.
Your moment.
Find a moment, experience it.
One thing at a time. Just one step and enjoy it. So there's our
Here, let me take your soapbox. I'll go store it back in the closet for a minute.
Philosophical thought for the day. So, all right. It's 8:51, 208-542-1079. We'll be back after this. All right. It's 8:54, News Talk 1079. Program is brought to you by our friends at Town and Country Gardens. And if you go to their website, mygardengeek.com, the first thing you should do is sign up for their newsletter. You'll get it once a week, and it tells you what's going on, and they'll remind you, hey, now's the time to prune your trees, or now's the time to plant this, or whatever.
Plant your raspberries, or plant your strawberries.
And I can say, now's the time to put down step 1 of the 4-step lawn program, the humates.
Did you do it?
Not yet.
Okay, mine's done.
So I did not grab the humates when you did because I thought I might have a little bit of leftover. I don't think I have leftover humates.
Darn it, you're going to have to go to the fun place and visit again.
I know, aw shucks. But I'll go out and get step 1 and put that down this week. So, and you're fine. March, April, perfect time to put down the humates. Wait a few weeks, we'll be into the step 2, which is kind of a fertilizer that you put on. They explain everything there. It's actually step 1, 2, 3, 4 on multiple pallets, and it's very straightforward what you need to do. They also tell you exactly how much you need based on your lawn size. Pro tip, we have enough time here, right? Mm-hmm. If you get on Google Maps and scroll in on your own house, if you right-click and say measure distance, you can actually draw out the perimeter of your own lawn, and it will tell you how many square feet you have.
See, perfect. So do that part at home. I will tell you, I've visited Town and Country Gardens multiple times. Almost every time I've been there, in the area where the 4-step lawn program is, there's usually a worker. They sell so much of it. There is usually someone in that area. Ask questions because they are the experts.
Yep. And we'll tell you, we don't always talk about prices here. It'll cost you, for most lawns, between $100 and $200. Mm-hmm. And that's a very, very good deal when you consider what it would cost you to hire a lawn service to come and accomplish the same thing. You can put this stuff down with a lawn spreader in just a few minutes. I bet each step probably takes me, and I have a lot of lawn, probably 15 to 20 minutes is all.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, Town and Country Gardens, they're north. Nope, they're south. They're south of Idaho Falls. They're north of Shelley.
That's true. And Firth. Yes.
They're south of Idaho Falls on the Yellowstone Highway across from the malt plant.
And when you go in, just tell them that Neil and Julie sent. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And say, where's the 4-step lawn program?
Maybe just say it normally.
Okay, or you could do that too. And then, where's the plant room? I want to go see the plants, the house plants. You okay over there?
I don't think they're the weirdos you think they are.
No, they're not. I'm just kidding.
They're really normal people. They just want a green lawn.
I do like voices, though, once in a while. Like, I think it's okay. It's all right. So, okay, Julie, we have the Iran. We have not talked much about Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, and so there are either 14 or 15 American ships that will escort groups of tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. Mm-hmm. And I don't know exactly what they do to make sure that it's not going to trip the mines that are in there, but I think they've made it relatively safe. It's interesting. And there is a headline right now. We'll get to this next hour. A vessel owned by a U.S. rival passes through one of the key oil routes, even in the middle of the blockade. So we'll see. We'll see what happens now.
How that goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's getting a little interesting there. So we'll be back. Hour 2 coming up on News Talk 107.9. All right, 9:07 on News Talk 107.9. It's Neil Larson. It's Julie Mason. And it's Tuesday. If you'd like to be on the program, the number's 208-542-1079. And Julie, I feel like now that we've signey-died, we are officially in the campaign season, it could be time for some flash polls.
Okay, let's do it.
But I don't know
what are you going to do?
I don't know. Like, I've brought this forward, but I don't have anything specific or in particular in mind. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we have. If you look at the legislative races right now, who do you think? Which races do you view as the most competitive in East Idaho?
Most competitive legislative races right now, I think the given automatically is Ben Furman, Julianne Young.
Yep.
Simply because it was so close last time.
Yeah.
I don't know how you couldn't look at that and think that that would be a repeat of what is going to happen. I think the thing that really changes that race is turnout. I actually think that in all the races, but that race specifically, when you've got races that are so close in vote totals, turnout is major. We also have another close race that occurred, not near as close as Representative Furman and former Representative Young, but it's Rod Furness and Carrie Hanks.
Oh, yeah.
Former representative and representative again. Kind of mirrors that Bingham County race. And that was, what was it, 200 votes? Something? It was close. It was in the hundreds. I can't remember what it was. Yeah. Again, turnout could really change that race.
Yeah, I think so too. I would not have said this 2 weeks ago or a month ago, but I feel like the Guthrie-Worley race may be in play now. And I'll tell you why. I think that Senator Guthrie is, and this will sound odd because it's kind of an inside baseball legislative thing, but I think holding bills in drawers has the frustration over that now extends beyond the Capitol.
Yeah.
I think that there are lawmakers that are saying, no, we need to have these issues debated. We might lose them, and maybe the committee votes to not advance the bill, but at least let them be heard. That's your job as lawmakers, to hear this. And I think that I think Senator Foreman might suffer a little bit politically because of that too. I don't know if Foreman has an opponent or not, but I also think that the Attorney General endorsing David Worley also elevates Worley's status in this race. And I think a lot more people are going to be like, oh, the Attorney General's backing him.
Absolutely.
I think it changes the texture of the race. And I saw what's so weird to me is that you have people who are Republicans that are openly taunting the Attorney General. And these are people that have worked for members of Congress. Like, they are saying like very snarkily, thank you, Raul, for telling me to vote for the incumbent here. And I'm like, okay, you are not smart. If that's what you're doing, you're not smart. You have to at least, you may not like him and you'd vote for somebody else, but you have to respect the fact that he was the widely accepted, in terms of the election, Attorney General of the state of Idaho. He beat Lawrence Wasden easily. He beat Tom Arkush easily. And so it just is a weird take. Now, I would expect it from a Democrat, but to have someone who is actually in Republican circles and active to so publicly go up against Raul Labrador like that, I think that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So
there's an interesting part about Senator Guthrie's behavior this year about putting, and it's happened other years, by the way, but about putting bills in drawers. I don't know if he quite understands the optics of what it looks like to the everyday person.
Yeah.
There is a lot of intricacy to why they do it and the fight back and forth between the House and the Senate. We had Senator Julie Van Orden on today. She was explaining that. The average person doesn't even know what's going on there.
Yeah.
All they see is a guy who's been around for a long time, now looks a little bit older, and it comes off kind of like, get off my lawn tactics.
Yeah.
This is my committee and I'll do whatever I want to and you don't get an opinion about it. Now, that's not the way he talks. He's much kinder, much more gentlemanly than that and everything. But to a lot of average people who don't understand all of the inner workings of the political chambers, they don't understand any of that. And all they see is that grumpy old man. That's the vision they have in their mind. That doesn't play very well for him. Then you have the endorsement by AG Labrador.
Yeah.
That's another added to the cake mix, right? You also have, he's been around for a long time. There's plenty of people who don't think you should be in politics that long. So that plays into it. There's a whole bunch of these little extras that are adding to that race that probably wouldn't have been there 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons that race is in play.
Yeah. And also I would add one more to this that I think might harm him. I don't think the party cohesion index has become the gold standard measurement. It's just the one I did. And because I wanted to know, in split party votes, how often do Republicans vote with Republicans? How often does a particular Democrat vote with the Democrats? And Senator Guthrie is by far the lowest. Like, he's just under 50%, meaning he votes against the party more often than he votes with the party. Mm-hmm. That, I think, might hurt him in a primary as well, because that's one where it reaches the region where you start to wonder, why are you a Republican if you vote against the Republican majority more often than you vote with them?
Right. You have to ask that question, and I think that question will be brought up multiple times. I haven't done a deep dive into David Worley's campaign. I don't know if he's bringing that up or not, but I think it's one that the voters would be asking that question. So I would think it would come up in forums. I would think it would come up in the campaigning.
Yeah, I think it would too. And you know, it's interesting because you hear a lot. I've had a hard time reconciling something in my mind. There are exceptions to this, but people say, well, we need a strong independent party. Todd Achilles' entire campaign is ripping the partisan government that we have now, the two-party system that we have. And you hear it a lot. Like, you hear people saying, well, we need people who are independents, and then why do independents do so terribly when they run? I mean, someone answer that question for me, because I feel like people embrace the idea in conversation. They don't embrace the idea when they go to vote. And I look at this, and I will tell you, and this is this is a question I want to ask every candidate. I don't think I will, because I don't know if it's relevant. But in my mind, it's, do you believe you are electable without that R behind your name? I think that's a good question to ask.
I think that's a fair question.
And I think if you could get them to be honest, am I electable? Is my name as powerful as the letter behind it? And I think for a lot of candidates, the answer to that is no. That doesn't square with the Todd Achilles argument that we just need good, strong, independent candidates. That might be true in a casual conversation when the stakes are really low, but when people actually go to cast their vote, they don't believe that. They don't back that up with their vote. So again, there is a reason why you have people who are not conservative that vote against the party almost as often as they vote with the party, saying, I still have to be affiliated with the party because I can't get elected without that R behind my name.
Right. I would also say if you're unsure of who the candidates are, if you don't really know them, take a few moments and a Xanax and go on a page like Drinking Liberally.
Yeah.
And if the regular contributors to the Drinking Liberally page are supporting a candidate with an R behind your name, understand they're the ones that are Democrats.
Yeah. That's actually a pretty accurate
Now, like
gauge.
I said, tongue in cheek, take a Xanax, because your head's going to want to explode after being on that page.
Yeah.
But that tells you who is the moderate candidate, who is the one who potentially shouldn't have that R behind their name because they don't represent the Republican Party.
Yeah.
For me, if you're not going to do any deep dives and look at the incumbents and what bills they voted on and the legislation they brought forward and the arguments that they made on the floor and all of that, if you don't have that within you, then start paying attention to who's supporting these candidates and at least look that deep.
Yeah. I think that's a very good gauge, because now I would imagine the lefties would probably say, this is the candidate we can live with. It's not who we want, but it's the one who's not the far right nut job. Like, they're probably going to say something like that. But if your point, though, Julie, is right on, because they're not going to support anybody that I don't think in their minds, they're just like, well, we'll take the worst of two evils. I think they actually really like some of these people.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give an example out there, because this man never rocks a boat. I don't know anyone who doesn't like Representative Marco Erickson. The guy's just like kind of universally liked, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't rock any boats, whatever. He had one of the highest scores on your handy dandy data sheet.
Yeah.
What I call it. Is he far right? That's what I want to ask people. What makes somebody far right? What I'm telling you is pay attention to who endorses them.
Yeah.
Pay attention to who is supporting them. If they're throwing out terms like far right and moderate and blah, 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 all I would say is watch the behavior of the people who support the candidate you're looking at.
Yeah.
They're usually going to be birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right.
Because
I think it is. Yeah.
there's not a single person who's going to call Marco Erickson far right. Not one.
No.
Not one. But if you look at the way he behaves at the Capitol, sure, he would be lumped in with the other people you're calling far right. So please tell me.
Yeah.
Please tell me what your definition of far right is.
Yeah. That's a good point. If you had asked me when I created the party code, the handy dandy data sheet,
the party cohesion index.
Yeah. I kind of like handy dandy data sheet a little bit better. But when you look at, before I ran the numbers on it, I wish I would have said, okay, here's where the perception is. Here's where I think these lawmakers are going to fall. I think most of them were probably pretty close. Like I like it landed about where my perception of them was. But Marco scored way higher than I thought, and Guthrie scored way lower than I thought. Mm-hmm. So there were some surprises in that. Now, I dismissed the early Senate votes because we just didn't have enough votes. You had some lawmakers, some senators that were super, super low, but there had only been like 6 votes. And to me, the sample size wasn't big enough. And I sort of curtailed any critique of it until we got more votes. And indeed, we saw a lot of those scores come up through the legislative session, those last few weeks that we had the handy dandy data sheet. And so, but it's very interesting. And I think it sparks some important discussion here. I also think that, and I talked about this sort of quirk. It's not a quirk. It's just something you need to be aware of. You might have a libertarian that thinks this piece of legislation spends too much. You vote no. You might be a far left Democrat that thinks it doesn't spend nearly enough. You vote no. The 2 no votes are identical, but the reasoning, the rationale behind them are very, very different. There's in a binary choice vote, whether you can say yes or no, there's no way to detect motive.
Yeah.
All right. So you have to be aware of that. However, I will say that quirk can typically only explain a certain amount of percentage of no's. Mm-hmm. Right. Like because you're now once in a while you get someone like a Rand Paul, someone who kind of votes no on everything, because they view just about everything that government's doing as unconstitutional. So they might vote no. And if you're in the minority party, you're voting no because you just vote no. So in really weird situations, you might get that. But I don't think we had much of that this year. If you're voting against your party, it's because you largely don't agree with them.
Yeah. I think that's probably accurate. I ask people to be a little more nuanced and a little more deep thinking than what they typically are in elections. Please. It matters.
Yeah.
It really matters.
Yeah, it does. Let's go to the phones. 208-542-1079. Caller, welcome.
Is that me?
Yes, it's you. What's up?
Okay. Well, going along with your train of thought, what did we see with the mayoral race? A lot of it came down to you find out who's supporting who's pushing the agenda, and you saw that play out there. And then you bring up this Todd Achilles. He says he's independent, but Julie mentioned this. What was the Facebook page? Drinking liberally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got that one. And then there's another one out there. It's called the 50502. I'm saying that correctly. Have you ever seen that one?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, look it up. They are big time liberal Democrats. Probably out of the Boise area, but I'll bet you I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them around the Idaho Falls area. And they're really pushing the Todd Achilles. They absolutely spew hatred on Risch and Crapo and all these other guys that are currently serving. So, yeah, you got to figure out who's backing who. So I don't think Achilles is independent. I think he's really a Democrat, but whatever it takes to get me elected. So,
yeah.
Anyway, with that, I'll let you go.
All right. Thank you for the call. I say this with respect because we've had Todd Achilles in. We saw him at the Mountain States Policy dinner a few weeks ago, and he and I had a great conversation, and he said he'd love to come back, and I said, we'd love to have you, And so we've kind of, even though we disagree on so much politically, we have a relationship of respect, and he is welcome in this studio. We'll just completely destroy him when he comes in, but lovingly. Anyway, but and so I mean, I say this with that level of respect. He has no chance of winning, in my opinion. Running as an independent is not a route. It's a route to victory with a terrible track record. Like independent candidates don't do well unless they live in places like Vermont, like Bernie Sanders. And in almost every case, you're actually appealing to Democrats who think they're independent. Have you ever met a conservative person who's running as an independent? No.
Because they have a place to be.
Yes, exactly. So you almost always, especially when we have lots and lots of evidence to the contrary, he is a prolific donor to lots and lots of Democrats and left-leaning causes. He was in the legislature as a Democrat, caucused with the Democrats, voted as a Democrat, and you look where he comes from, where he is, and when you press him, he interviewed Bernie Sanders and AOC, for crying out loud, at the Oligarchy Tour a couple of years ago.
And was thrilled about it.
He was on cloud nine being able to introduce those two. Okay, you don't have to have all the pieces of the puzzle to know what the puzzle's going to look like.
That's that version of drinking liberally right there.
Yes.
You didn't have to do a deep dive to figure out who he was.
Yeah.
Based upon the behaviors that were happening in those events.
Yes. Now, does Risch have an opponent? In the primary.
In the Republican primary, but could have.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So we don't, if he does, it's already over.
We're just assuming he's winning.
We will declare victory in the Republican Senate primary. It's Jim Risch. So we won't vote Risch versus Achilles until November. And I think Achilles will make some inroads, but I'll predict right now, and maybe I should put a reminder on my phone for Election Day. Go back and listen to the show on April 14th of this year, because I'm going to make a prediction here that Risch will win that race about 65-35, maybe 70-30. Because Risch has a good organization. He is an incumbent Republican and been in the Senate for a long time. He's got a war chest. Can you imagine what the campaign ads are going to look like against Todd Achilles? It's going to show his support for Prop 1 that failed 70-30. This narrative that he is going around to these cottage meetings and he's trying to maintain, it will get destroyed like a trailer park in an Oklahoma tornado. Risch is going to rip right through that, and people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, he's just a Democrat running disguised as an independent." So, I mean, I don't see any other dynamics in that race. I don't see anything changing anytime soon.
I don't either, and I haven't seen any yet. But I will make a prediction along with your prediction that there will be campaign literature that will come from dark money or directly from Todd Achilles' campaign that lies about what has happened in Risch's career. Lies are just okay now. I don't know how to say it any more boldly. Sharing information that is not correct on campaign literature is almost expected.
Yeah.
It's become normalized. So if you're making your decisions off these mailers that show up to your house, if you're making these decisions off these texts that are dropping onto your phone, if you're making these decisions off of billboards that are hung in your area, you're not doing enough work.
Yeah.
Because they're sharing information that's not accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. It is true. But I think that's just how it is now.
It's the landscape.
Is it just accepted?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's politics.
Well, I think it's accepted with everything. Look, you can pretend to be a girl if you're a boy, and you can pretend to be a boy if you're a girl, and everybody else around you is demanded to follow your narrative.
You must, even when you know it's a lie, you have an expectation to believe the lie.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I just can't. I can't do it. Like I look at it and I'm like, and here's the thing. I like almost all of our lawmakers. There's some that do drive me a little crazy. And there are some that I like, but I don't like how they vote. I like them. I'm not quite sure I like exactly their takes on things. I can separate those two. Is that fair?
Oh, we think Democrat James Rucky's awesome.
Oh yeah, he's super
an
great.
amazing person. He's
I just
great.
Said, I like Todd Achilles. Like he's a real personable guy. Like so we like them, and almost never. I won't say never. It's not personal. There are a couple where it's actually kind of raw, and I wish it weren't, but we would love for them to come into this studio so that we can have a friendly conversation. We had Julie Van Orden here. What did I tell you before she came in? I'm like, I don't always agree with how she votes, but she is so incredibly nice. Like she's just a nice person, and you
can have really good conversations with her, which is the other. That's the same thing with Senator Ructy. I don't agree with hardly anything he does.
Yeah.
We can have a very interesting and in-depth conversation and be grown-ups about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there have been times when it's gotten almost a little tense, you know? And I remember a couple of years ago, he was upset that you had those guys up in Coeur d'Alene at the parade that had the ARs.
They looked like a militia.
Right, and he doesn't think that should be allowed under the First Amendment. And we're like, wait, that's the First and the Second Amendment blended together beautifully. And so we disagreed on that. And but we were fine. There's a well of respect there that we tap into with him and other Democrats. And I would even say other moderate Republicans. Sometimes moderate Republicans are they're almost as problematic, sometimes more so than the Democrats, because the Democrats are totally honest about where they stand. They're like, yeah, I'm a Democrat, and I believe like a Democrat, and I vote like a Democrat. And I respect that. Even though I disagree, I respect that they're being authentic to who they are. The problem that I have is that when you have politicians that run as Republicans, they enjoy the benefit that comes with the R behind their name. They will take from the opportunity well that being a Republican gives them, but they don't give much back. And the way you give back is you vote like a Republican. You actually are who you say you are. And I feel like it's a self-serving relationship for them to get elected as a Republican, but then go and kind of stab the party in the back, the platform in the back, the principles that the Republicans stand for. That's not me saying you've got to be 100% or even 90%, but you can't be 50% or 60%. No. Like that's just that's too disingenuous at that point.
Agreed. I think what both you and I are craving at this point is just authenticity.
Yeah.
Just be true to who you are. And I think I will be honest, I think there's a couple of candidates, they're actually currently lawmakers, that it does get a little bit personal for me, based upon things that have been said that have gotten back to us.
Yeah.
So I think it does get a little bit personal. I hope we respect that and continue to just talk about their voting record.
Yeah.
Because I believe their voting records are enough to make them unelectable.
Yeah.
I'm asking other people to look into their voting records, look into who's supporting them, look into the things that they chose to not stand as foundational values. They chose not to represent those foundational values. It doesn't really matter who they are personally.
Yeah.
That should stop you from voting for them with an R behind their name.
Yeah. I would. For me, all of that can be done on the non-personal level.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think that's what we hope and aim for, is that we have lawmakers that will come in. We chat with them. We ask them about their kids. We ask them about their life, what they're doing for their summer vacation. We have good conversations with them because they're real people and they're good people. But we get to scrutinize their voting record. We get to scrutinize their fundraising record. We get to scrutinize everything that they do.
Advertisements that they put up on Facebook.
Absolutely, in their official capacity as a lawmaker. But there's a small handful, Julie, they take that scrutiny very personally. Mm-hmm. And to the point where they don't even respond to us now. And to me, that's very sad. Yep. I wish they would. 935 208 542 1079. Oh, I almost played a Christmas song. Should I play a Christmas song? Should I play a Christmas song?
Let's do it.
I mean, we might get snow later this week.
It's slated for tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I think so. I was just talking to Roper. So I know. It's a little weird, but that's okay. Hey, we had football in the spring just last weekend, so.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hi, guys.
Facebook, we have to warn you. We are not going to have much of a post show today because we have so much to get ready for tomorrow for the debate. So it'll be about a minute today.
It is crazy the technical level that we have to go to make this all happen.
Yeah.
And there's already been a ton of work done. There's just a few things that we've got to tighten up before we get to that place.
Yeah. Oh, did you see the Stonewall National Monument story? Mm-mm. Apparently, it's a national monument dedicated to, is it the place where the guy in 1978 first created the LGBTQ flag?
Okay.
Anyway, they had pride flags flying during the Biden administration.
At that spot.
Trump took them down, and then there was a lawsuit by LGBTQ groups, and the Trump administration has agreed to put it back up as part of the resolution. So,
okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. He forgot.
Forgot?
Should we? All right, 9:39 now. News Talk 1079 208 542 1079. If you'd like to join us on the program this morning, it's Neil Larson along with Julie Mason. Julie, sometimes I wish people could experience what the messages we get. It's kind of interesting to get what we get. I will say so.
It is interesting, and I think that. I said this to Senator Julie Van Orden today. We were chatting, and she told us probably, 3 times how contentious this legislative session was.
Yeah.
And I said back to her at the end of our interview when she was exiting the building, something, I don't remember what exactly I said verbatim, but I said something along the lines of, it's interesting how much personality differences are driving politics in Idaho right now instead of actual policy. And it is so true. And we are drowning in that in East Idaho. It is personality politics, not policy politics
and
in
a
East
lot
Idaho.
Of it is just vendetta and...
Yep. There's no oxygen left in the room.
No, there's not.
Mm-hmm. We're not drowning, we're suffocating. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's no oxygen left for politics.
Yeah.
Because we're so busy fighting personality conflicts between so many factions.
Yeah, you are exactly right about that. And everyone is keeping score of everyone else's sins.
Yeah. 100%. It's like they've got one of those detective boards at home. This person did this to this person, and so I'm going to go after him with this. And
well, look, both ends of this are doing it too.
It's everybody.
I mean, we've had interviews with everyone we like, and we'll try to talk about policy or a law or some effort, and they'll tell you all 3 or 4 things this person did, and it was mean, and it was. And I'm like, I didn't even ask about that. But that's where their mind goes to.
Absolutely.
Let's go to the phones. 208-542-1079. Caller, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Well, we're doing pretty well. What's up?
I love the tone of your discussion today. I think you're spot on. As I was thinking and listening, I'm amazed at the number of legislators writing on the back of the water issue. Not that it's not an important issue, but there's other issues equally important also. You got to look at the whole picture. But
Yeah.
in eastern Idaho, that water issue has just taken precedence, and they're riding on that for their campaign. Look at other things. Look at how they voted on, there's a low-income housing bill that takes rights away from the county.
Yeah.
There's bills out there that are equally important, and you've got to be aware of all those. So I love the way you're encouraging people to get informed, dig deep, see what's really happening, because if they run with an R behind their name, they sure as heck ought to be a Republican and vote that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, agreed. I want to ask you a question, even though there's a lot of complexity that you could dice this down and say, well, it depends on which way they vote on a particular issue. But what percentage makes you comfortable of any lawmaker voting with their party? If it gets below a certain point, you get concerned, or if it gets above a certain point, you get concerned?
It ought to be at least somewhere in the 80% range.
Yeah. I agree with you.
And if it's below that, then they need to be looked at seriously.
Yeah. And you know what? I love that you said they need to be looked at. You didn't say they needed to be voted out of office. Anytime you see a score, in my mind, that's not a conclusion of anything. That's an invitation to dig deeper and find out why is the score the way the score is. And I think that's important that you do look at that. If you have a lawmaker and they're out of your comfort range of how they vote, that you go, okay, well, before I just, try to defeat them, let me see why they voted the way they voted. I think every responsible voter and constituent should operate like that.
So I'm running as a precinct committeeman.
Yeah.
And sometimes there gets to be murky water of what the precincts do. We represent the Republican Party.
Yeah. True.
Not the candidate. We represent the Republican Party, and it's our job as precinct committeemen, as a central committee, to hold our elected officials accountable. Not in a bad way, but in let's get everybody educated on what's happening and what's important for the freedoms of the individuals in the state of Idaho.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Great call today. Someone said, what percentage do Democrats vote with their party? Way higher. The Democrats are far more cohesive, and I can give you exact numbers right now. There are 9 House Democrats. The lowest score is 85%. There's another one that's at 86. Everybody else is 90 plus.
Wow.
And the Senate Democrats, nobody is below 95%. They are absolutely incredibly cohesive.
If we're giving out scores, the Democrats get an A+ with cohesion.
Absolutely, they do. They have. In fact, there are a couple of them. Melissa Wintrow and Ali Rabe vote 100%.
Yeah.
With the Democrat majority, which makes sense because I think they're in leadership, and
sure.
So you have that. If you're curious about East Idaho, the only East Idaho Democrat senator we have is James Ruckty, and he's at 96%. So no concern there if you're a Democrat.
Here's what the reality is, though, and this is what people truly need to understand about the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. The Democrats aren't pretending.
Yeah.
James Ruckty was brave enough to put a D behind his name because that's who he actually is.
Yeah.
Wintrow was brave enough to put a D behind her name because that's who she actually is.
Mm-hmm.
These other ones with R's behind their name that are down in the 60s, and we have one below 50, they lack courage.
So do you want the numbers on the Republicans? Mm-hmm. And we won't give everyone, obviously, because there's a lot of them. Barbie Hart is the most consistently Republican voting Republican that in the entire legislature. In fact, let me look at Republicans here. Nope, Ben Taves is at 97%. Barbie Hart's at 96%.
Mm-hmm.
We did see a decline for Marco Erickson in the last couple of weeks of the legislative session. He was up in the mid-90s, like 93, 94, and he ended the session at 87%. So still fully acceptable for my standard. But I think we did see him kind of not vote with the party on a handful of votes at the end. But there were 105, and I have to explain this. It's not really complicated. It's just you have to know. This did not look at every vote they've cast anywhere in the legislature. It is only votes on bills where a majority of Democrats voted one way and a majority of Republicans voted the other. Okay. The rest were kind of consensus bills or procedural votes or whatever. So this is where you saw an ideological split on the votes. So if you ran all the votes, you'd have something different. The numbers would be different. This is only votes where there's clearly a difference of philosophical opinion, which I thought was a fair way to do it. So Barbie Hart consistently votes at 96.19%. On the very bottom was Jack Nelson. He voted 48%. So 49 if you round up. He votes with the Democrats more often than he votes with the Republicans in those votes. But if you were to look at East Idaho's lawmakers, they're all clustered in the 60s and 70s. And I won't give out the numbers, but, Stephanie Mickelson had 64%. Dustin Manwaring at 65%. Josh Wheeler at 66%. Britt Raybould at 68%. Aaron Bingham at 68%. Rick Cheatham at 68%. Weber at 69%. Ben Furman at 69.9%. You had Gerald Raymond at 71%. You had Rod Furness at 75%. And then that's the next one would be Marco Erickson, much higher at 87%. So there's kind of a rundown of the East Idaho lawmakers. If you look in the Senate side, Guthrie came in at 49.3%. Dave Lent at 67%. Kevin Cook at rounding up to 70%. Mark Harris at 71%. Van Burtenshaw at 71%. Julie Van Orden at 74%. And Doug Ricks came in at 84%. And then you had others that were a little bit higher than that. So it's sort of interesting to watch. But we absolutely, if you were to ask the question, where are the moderate and even center-left Republicans clustered? It's in East Idaho. No doubt about it.
Oh, sure. We sat with a senator at the Mountain States Policy Center dinner who said it's an ongoing kind of joke. I don't mean like joke like they're making fun. It's just that wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah.
That Republican in East Idaho doesn't really mean Republican. Like, it's the honest truth. This senator we sat and chatted with this senator. This senator is from the Treasure Valley. And the senator said, we all think that.
Yeah.
Being a Republican in East Idaho doesn't really mean being a Republican.
Well, did you see the video? And I don't remember what committee it was or what chair it was. They were openly joking that Ben Furman's a Democrat.
Yeah.
And it was like they absolutely have that reputation.
Yeah, it was just the 11 of them or whatever. It was a committee meeting. They were hearing some bill, and the chairman made some reference that Ben would be opposing it because he sits with the Democrats.
Yes. Right, exactly. All right, we got a break. It's 9:51 on News Talk 107.9. We'll be back. Hi, Facebookers.
Did you just call them boogers?
Face boogers.
Don't let him talk to you like that.
I didn't call you Facebook. Oh, we have so much to get ready for tomorrow. But I think we're going to have good video, good audio. It's just a logistical, endeavor to try and find a good word.
That was very mature of you.
Right, it was.
Good job.
Yeah. All of my muscle and brain memory is in this room and within, 2 feet of my arms. So when you change rooms and you have different equipment, and I know exactly how it works, but when that muscle memory is not there, it just adds a layer of stress to do it right. So
It's so funny because I don't think you know this about yourself. The muscle memory is so deep after doing it for years with the other system.
Yeah.
You still do things on this board that aren't necessary that you used to do on the other board.
Oh, really? Like what?
Like you're very cognizant about turning the sound up in the studio, down in the studio, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do it just by reflex. There's no reason to actually do it.
Oh.
It's just, this is what I'm controlling.
Yeah.
And it's just your muscles taking over. You're not actually like even engaging as to why you need to do it.
Yeah.
It's just the muscle of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Because the whole reason I notice this is because I watch, because I want to learn why is he doing these things.
Yeah.
Because you're gone.
Yeah.
And I need to know what's going on. So I pay attention to why you touch things and why you do things, which is why I've noticed it.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is such a good way to learn, you guys. If you ever don't know something, asking questions is always awesome.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's good to just
watch
and see what's going on.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I got distracted by a text that like when we were first in here, I thought, oh, it's so cumbersome because I have to hit these buttons to be able to talk to our Facebook audience. And now
you just do it.
Now I just do it. It's like, it's super, super easy.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. 9:55 on News Talk 107.9.
All right, let's chat about Timberline Home. They're in the middle of a final massive sale right now. And man, you guys don't want to sleep on this. You want to sleep on the mattresses that you can purchase in this massive sale. And there is deep discounts on those mattresses along with other things. There's savings up to 50% off on items, and they're clearing the floor. So particularly items that are in the actual store right now at Timberline Home, deep discounts on those. And a special bonus, there's 25% off all custom orders, which is how I got my furniture in my home from Timberline. I wanted to make sure that I got items that matched the design of my home, so I did custom orders. They're absolutely beautiful. I've had tons of people ask me about them. You can do this too. Remember, they have great financing options, so if furniture wasn't in your budget, but you want to take advantage of these deep discounts, they do have financing options available. 711 East Anderson in Idaho Falls. That's Timberline Home.
All right, 9:56. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up after this. All right, that's going to do it for the show today. Don't forget your 4-step lawn program available now at Town and Country Gardens, south of Idaho Falls, across from the Big Bud plant. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Big debate tomorrow. Join us for that.